Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Calisthenics. Today, on April 12th, we are in the final week of Great Lent, and we are once again looking at Isaiah, Genesis, and Proverbs. So in Isaiah, we are getting towards the latter half of his book. Thus says the Lord, I will give you as a light to the nations, that my salvation may reach to the end of the earth. So the Lord here, in this case, is God the Father. Thus says the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel and his Holy One. Of course, his Holy One is Jesus Christ. To one deeply despised, abhorred by the nations, the servant of rulers. Kings shall see and arise, princes, and they shall prostrate themselves because of the Lord who is faithful, the Holy One of Israel who has chosen you. Thus says the Lord, in a time of favor I have answered you. In a day of salvation I have helped you. I have kept you and given you as a covenant to the people, to establish the land, to apportion the desolate heritages, saying to the prisoners, come forth, to those who are in darkness appear. In other words, this covenant, this promise, this is Christ, that he is going to come to save us. To those who are prisoners, those who are held by death, he is going to say, appear, I have come to rescue you. They shall feed along the ways, on all bare heights shall be their pasture. They shall not hunger or thirst, neither scorching wind nor sun shall smite them, for he who has pity on them will lead them, and by springs of water will guide them. So this is the promise that the Holy One of Israel, our Father, is going to send his Holy One, Christ our God, to save us. Now in Genesis, we are skipping ahead quite a bit. Because at this juncture, we have already had Jacob trick his father, Isaac, into giving the inheritance to him, even though technically Esau already squandered it. And what we have, and we're again skipping some parts, is there was a religious interlude, a romantic interlude rather, in which Jacob went to another land, to a land of his father's people, and he was sent to find a bride. And so he is taken by a girl named Rachel and her sister Leah. Now, Rachel is the one that he wants to marry, and so Laban, their father, gets Jacob to work for 7 years, and then he will give Rachel as his bride. Well, he does this. Then on the wedding night, when he lifts the veil after the wedding service, he realizes it's Leah. And so he said, I didn't want to marry Leah. I wanted to marry Rachel. Well, his father said, well, you married Leah, so what are you going to do? And so he makes Jacob serve him another 7 years so that he can marry Rachel. So now he has Rachel and Leah and children from both. And unfortunately, Laban is still dealing badly with Jacob, and when Jacob is ready to leave, he is being toyed with. And so let's jump into the story. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your kindred, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah into the field where his flock was, and said to them, I see that your father does not regard me with favor as he did before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not permit him to harm me. If he said, the spotted shall be your wages, then all the flock bore spotted. And if he said, the striped shall be your wages, then all the flock bore striped. So in other words, every single time Laban looked at the flock and says, ooh, the spotted ones are doing well. I'm going to take those, and then he can have the striped ones. Well, then God would make it so that Jacob would always be the one to go well. And so Laban kept changing it so that Jacob was never able to actually get what should have been his. Thus God has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. In the mating season of the flock, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream that the he-goats which he leaped upon the flock were striped, spotted, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. And I said, here I am. Then he said, lift up your eyes and see, all the goats that leap upon the flock are striped, spotted, and mottled. For I've seen all that Laban is going to do to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now arise, go forth from this land, and return to the land of your birth. Then Rachel and Leah answered him, Is there any portion or inheritance left to us in our father's house? Are we not regarded by him as foreigners? For he has sold us, and he has been using up the money given for us. All the property which God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do." So the two girls are fully behind their husband Jacob and are going to follow him as he leaves. And this will, of course, culminate in a bit in which Jacob is going to have to tell Laban that he needs to back down because God is not going to deal well with him. And this, of course, is going to lead up to Jacob being renamed Israel. Finally, in Proverbs, to do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Haughty eyes and a proud heart, the lamp of the wicked, are sin. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to want. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a snare of death. The violence of the wicked will sweep them away, because they refuse to do what is just. The way of the guilty is crooked, but the conduct of the pure is right. It is better to live in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no mercy in his eyes. When a scoffer is punished, the simple becomes wise. When a wise man is instructed, he gains knowledge. The righteous observes the house of the wicked. The wicked are cast down to ruin. He who closes his ears to the cry of the poor will himself cry out and not be heard. A gift in secret averts anger, and a bribe in the bosom strong wrath. When justice is done, is the joy to the righteous, but dismay to evildoers. A man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the assembly of the dead. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. The wicked is a ransom for the righteous, and the faithless for the upright. It is better to live in a desert land than with a contentious and fretful woman. Precious treasure remains in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it. He who pursues righteousness and kindness will find life and honor. I hope that you've enjoyed today's spiritual calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.